All right, welcome back. We are now taking a look at Natas 10 in our over-the-wire server-side web security wargame. And all I'm going to do to get this one started is I'm just going to already have the get flag from last time copied over, so I'm just going to run Sublime Text on that. Perfect, there we go. And if we run this, you can see we're going to get the password, which we're just going to input to update our script quickly here. Comment out our regular expression filter, and then run this again, and you can see we are getting the level here, which will probably make more sense if we open this up in the browser. Okay, so this looks like the last level quite a bit, but for security reasons, we now filter on certain characters, so it seems like they learned from their no-no from last time, but did they really? If we take a look at the source code here, you can see pretty much the same thing. It's still looking for that needle parameter in our request, and that's essentially going to be inserted as a key variable, and that's going to be input in our grep command here, which they're still using the pass-through function in PHP, which if you remember from last time, as seen in the PHP docs here, pass-through is just going to execute that command on the local host and provide the output. And since we have user-supplied input, that's obviously not a good idea, but it seems like they've done some homework and they've added some regex here, sort of as a filter, and if anything that we input in our needle parameter matches any of these characters here, it's essentially going to throw it away and say, well, our input contains an illegal character, and as such, it's not going to execute the command. So if you think about what characters are illegal here, it's going to be the semicolon, the pipe character, which we used last time, and it's going to be the and character, and if you think about why, basically these three characters are used as what are called control operators in Bash, and they basically just allow you to separate and control the execution of multiple commands from within one command. So you have the semicolon, and that's basically the catch-all sort of thing, and it's used to separate multiple commands, but it does so in a way that it doesn't really matter if the first command fails or succeeds, it's still going to execute the second command anyways, which is kind of different between the or the two pipes, the double vertical bars there, and that's used to separate two commands just like the semicolon is, but the difference here is that it only executes the second command if the first command fails. So for example, if your first command was to remove a file named file.txt, but this file.txt didn't exist, well, it's going to return a non-zero exit status. You're going to get a sort of standard error output, and because of that, it will then, because you're using this or, this logical or, it's then going to execute the second command. If the first command succeeded, well, you're not going to get that second command executed, which is kind of opposite from the and, or the double ampersands, and that's basically to separate two commands once again, but it's only going to execute the second command if the first one succeeds. So for example, if you wanted to remove file.txt, and file.txt did exist, and nothing went wrong with the removal process, obviously it's going to return with a zero exit status, there's going to be no error, and the second command you give it will obviously execute. But obviously there's a solution to this level, and so their filtering didn't really work as well as they thought they did. And the way we can think to sort of bypass or break out of this is if we just think about grep, the command itself. So if we just run man grep, and that's going to open the manual or the man page for grep itself. And if you're not familiar with reading through the man pages, definitely learn to do so because you will learn a ton of information on any command you such desire. You can see in the first line of the description here, grep searches for patterns in each file, sort of hinting that we can provide multiple files to grep. And if you read through the man pages here, you will see that that is the case. And we can provide multiple files for grep to search through, and it will search through each one depending on our pattern. So to sort of demonstrate this, I'm going to recreate our dictionary.txt file. Once again, random words that we can match off of. And if we just run grep, I think there's tac I, but that's just going to be ignore, whether it's lowercase or uppercase, doesn't matter. But then this is where we get to sort of provide our input. And if we just put a dot, and obviously the rest of the command is going to reference that dictionary file. So you can see if we just put a dot, that's going to match everything. Let's just say also in this folder we had a file named secret.txt. And then in this file we just had, password equals 123. Now you can see we have our dictionary as well as our secret.txt file. And if we run grep again, we can actually supply the additional file secret.txt, and grep is going to essentially search through each of these files for anything because we provided the period character. And you can see it sort of outputs in a colon separated table here. We have our file name on the left as well as the word that it matched to, and because we are matching to everything, we're going to get every line. And you can see our secret was matched in the last line of this output here. So essentially all we would really need to do for our sort of needle parameter is just provide that dot to sort of specify we want to search for everything, and then just put the path to Etsy Natas web pass whatever that path is, because if you think about what is going to happen or what's going to execute, we're going to have grep I, we're going to have our period to match everything, and then we're going to specify 2 files. Well, one's going to be specified for us at the end, which we can quite cleverly comment out. We can comment that out with the octothorpe or with the hashtag character, and what that's going to do is essentially ignore the dictionary.txt file there, sort of revealing the password to us in a very clean output. So let's test that theory in our script here. All we're going to need to do is, once again, turn on word wrap. And then we're just going to make a simple change to our original script here. We're going to change this to Natas 11, obviously. We're going to keep the hashtag there to comment out the rest of the line. And then all we're going to need to do instead of cat is we're just going to put the period character. And I think that's right, unless I missed something. But if we run this, you can see perfect, there we go. But all we really need to do now is just change to this print line. We already have our pre-tags here already sort of predefined to grab out that password. And there we go, there's our password. So you can see what all we really did was just specify an additional file for grep to search through. And then because we don't want it to search off of the dictionary file, we commented out the rest of the line. And then obviously for our pattern, we just put a dot, which is going to specify anything. It's kind of like the asterisk character in our regex here. All we need to do now is just test this out. So I'm going to run getflag.py, make sure we're getting an output there, and we'll call it Natas 10. And then we're going to run natas.sh for Natas 11 now, and then I'm going to substitute in the value of Natas 10. Perfect, and we are connected to Natas 11. And so that worked. We have our flag. We were able to sort of evade their security filtering for those certain characters that prevented us from being able to sort of chain commands onto each other. We actually didn't need to do that because we were able to take advantage of the sort of grep syntax and provide our file in place of the actual file and comment out that actual file. So with that, thank you as always for watching. These are getting increasingly more fun to do. If I remember correctly, Natas 11 is kind of a turning point in this war game here, and it kind of stumped me for a while. I'll be sure to cover exactly how I got through that challenge. And as always, thank you for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for the next one.